Wait, are you seriously ignoring this shift happening right now? Can you feel it moving beneath your skin? Can you feel the universe bending in your favor? Wait, don't freak out. Don't move. Just breathe. Just sit. Just rest. Because what I'm about to reveal will change how you see everything. Yeah, I'm talking to you. The one hustling, grinding, stressing every second of the day. You think you need to act. You think you need to push. But guess what? The real power is in doing nothing. This shift, it's already working for you. While others panic, while others chase, while others try to force life to bend, you are about to discover how sitting back, resting and letting the currents work will make everything fall into place. Can you imagine that? Can you feel the calm strength rising inside you? Yeah, that's real energy. That's the game changer. And yes, I know, you've been doubting yourself, you've been pushing too hard, you've been exhausted. But today we honor you. We honor your patience, your struggle, your silent strength. You deserve this moment. Some things move faster when you stop moving at all. You feel it, don't you? That itch, that restless pull to do something, anything, just to prove you're alive. Society screams at you, tells you that motion equals meaning, that productivity equals power, that action defines existence. But let me whisper a brutal truth into the void of your busy mind. Sometimes the shift you're waiting for doesn't need your hands, your plans, or your panic. Sometimes everything is happening without you lifting a finger. And the cruel irony? You are exactly where you need to be. Just resting, just breathing, just letting the silence do the work. Look around you. Look at the faces sprinting past. They clutch at opportunity like it's a lifeline, yet stumble in chaos because they refuse to pause. They miss the invisible threads tying events together, the quiet momentum building beneath their clamor. You see, the world doesn't reward the frantic. It rewards the calm, the observant, the ones who know when to bow out and let the machinery of life grind forward without interference. The strongest moves, the deepest shifts, the things that transform your life, they rarely arrive when you're shaking your fists at time. They arrive when you step back, when you stop resisting, when you let the invisible currents carry you. Imagine a river carving a canyon. It doesn't rush recklessly. It doesn't demand recognition. It flows patiently, quietly, and eventually, relentlessly, it reshapes mountains. That is the shift you are in. You are the riverbed waiting for the water to find its way. Your rest is not weakness. It is strategy. It is power. It is the unacknowledged skill of the patient mind. Every twitch of anxiety, every moment you try to force the shift, is like splashing against the current, slowing yourself down. Stop. Let the flow claim you. Let it whisper its secrets, and let the world unfold in your favor without your interference. You've been taught that to wait is to fail, to pause is to surrender. But they were lying. Waiting is the quiet rebellion of the wise. Pausing is the theater of inner strength. Resting is the art of watching the invisible strings move, while the frantic struggle with their own desperation. You, my friend, are the silent observer who sees it all. You are the calm shadow in a chaotic room, the eye in a storm of ambition, the one who knows the truth, that power is not always in the fist, but in the stillness of the hand. And yet, here is the catch. To rest properly, you must surrender your obsession with control. Stop trying to predict every outcome. Stop bending every situation to your will. Stop performing for eyes that will never see. The shift, the momentum, the change, it is happening now without your effort, without your interference. Imagine standing on the edge of a cliff, the wind roaring, the world trembling below. If you jump recklessly, you break bones. If you hesitate, you falter. But if you step back, breathe, and let gravity work its quiet, relentless magic, you will arrive exactly where you need to be, alive, untouched, prepared. That is the power of doing nothing. That is the intelligence of rest. You think strength is measured in movement, in action, in loud declarations of power, but the truth is far more unsettling. True strength hides in the quiet corners of your mind, in the spaces where no one is watching, in the moments when you choose to resist the urge to act, to speak, to intervene. It is in those pauses that your discipline is forged, your patience tested, your character sharpened like a blade glinting under dim light. The world will try to convince you that motion is progress, that noise equals attention, that visible struggle equals achievement. But all of that is an illusion, a cheap distraction meant to keep you exhausted, frantic, small. Observe the mind of a restless person. They twitch at every impulse. They clutch at every opportunity like a drowning man. They are slaves to their emotions, prisoners of their desires. They measure life in what they do, rather than what they allow to happen. And yet, here you are, standing outside the frenzy, watching, noticing, understanding. You feel the tension in your chest, the urge to act, the whisper that screams, "Do something." But resisting that whisper, staying still, letting the moment breathe, is your act of defiance, your silent mastery. You are learning that patience is not waiting. Patience is power disguised as stillness. Think of a seed, buried deep in soil. It does nothing visible. It feels nothing. It struggles not, yet inside it, the work is happening. Roots stretch, strength builds, life gathers momentum, preparing for the day it breaks the surface. That seed is you, and this moment of rest is your underground growth. No one sees it, no one applauds it, no one understands it, and that's exactly how it should be. Growth is rarely loud, rarely immediate, rarely understood. But when it emerges, when the time is right, it will astonish those who are too busy to notice. There is elegance in restraint. There is ferocity in calm. There is wisdom in letting things unfold without interference. Your mind, your body, your emotions, your entire being, they need this pause. You've been running in circles, fighting ghosts, wrestling shadows, exhausting yourself for outcomes that may not even belong to you. Now, let the shift work. Let the invisible forces weave your story. Let the currents of life pull you, guide you, carry you where your effort cannot. Do not fight the tide. Do not rush the process. Sit still, breathe deeply, and watch the puzzle assemble itself in ways your hands could never manage. And yes, it is uncomfortable. Yes, it feels like inaction, like surrender. But that discomfort is the sign of transformation. That tension in your chest, the itch to intervene, the restlessness in your bones, that is life rearranging itself around your patience. You are not missing out. You are not falling behind. You are learning the art of timing, the subtle power of presence, the intelligence of letting go. Imagine a chessboard. The pieces move, the board changes, the outcome shifts with each invisible hand. But the player who moves recklessly loses the game. The one who waits, who observes, who anticipates silently, wins. And here is the delicious, almost cruel truth. While the world pushes, struggles, and collapses under its own frantic weight, you, doing nothing, are moving faster than anyone can imagine. You are advancing while they exhaust themselves. You are building while they destroy. You are winning while they are blind. And the best part? They will never know it, because your power is quiet, invisible, subtle, yet absolute. The world wants you to panic, to fill every second with movement, with sound, with proof that you exist. But what if I told you that the greatest proof of existence is silence, the act of holding still, the courage to do nothing while the storm rages around you? Think about it. Every frantic hand, every desperate shout, every pointless effort is a sign of weakness disguised as action. And here you are, learning that the absence of motion can carry more weight than the heaviest blow, that the quiet mind can see farther than the eyes that never rest. There is a peculiar power in understanding your own limits. Most people never realize that they are exhausted, stretched thin, chasing shadows that are not theirs. They fight battles that belong to others, bend their lives to the expectations of strangers, and call it ambition. You, on the other hand, are learning the subtle art of self-respect. You are learning to recognize that your energy is precious, that your attention is currency, and that not every struggle requires your presence. There is freedom in this, almost a kind of brutal liberation. You stop performing, you stop bending, you stop proving, and in that stillness, you gain the clarity that everyone else sacrifices for noise. Think of a sculptor at work. They do not hammer endlessly, striking blindly at the stone. They pause, they observe, they step back, they study the angles, the curves, the shadows. The masterpiece emerges not through constant assault, but through deliberate restraint, through careful observation, through the intelligence of knowing when to touch and when to let the material speak. That is what your rest does. It shapes you silently, invisibly, into someone no one else can imagine. The world may call it inaction, but you know better. The transformation is happening under the surface, in the unseen, in the unnoticed spaces where true strength is forged. And here's another truth that will unsettle you. Control is not about dominating others. Control is about mastering yourself. The frantic are slaves to their impulses, their emotions, their fear of being left behind. They bend to every circumstance. They react without thinking. They exhaust themselves, trying to shape the world that does not belong to them. You, however, are learning the exquisite cruelty and the subtle elegance of self-mastery. You know when to act. You know when to speak. You know when to move. But more importantly, you know when to do nothing. When to let the invisible forces of timing, momentum, and consequence work for you without interference. Imagine standing in a room full of people screaming for attention. They fight, they claw, they push, and yet nothing changes. And there you are, still, quiet, observing, smiling softly at the chaos. While they destroy themselves in desperation, you gather strength, patience, and understanding. That is power. The kind that cannot be seen, cannot be measured, cannot be taken. And it is earned, not through noise, not through struggle, not through reckless motion, but through discipline, through restraint, through the intelligence of knowing that the shift is already happening, and that your only task is to remain ready, calm, and unbroken. So here is the challenge for your mind, the one that will make or break you. Are you willing to embrace your own stillness, to honor your own patience, to resist the temptation to prove yourself, to fight, to struggle, to act before the moment is ripe? Can you hold yourself in silence while the world loses its mind around you, while opportunity builds invisibly, silently, invisibly moving in your favor. Humans are desperate creatures. They chase, they grasp, they bend under the weight of imagined urgency. But urgency is a trick, a shadow meant to keep you restless, scrambling, exhausting yourself for outcomes that may not even belong to you. Look closely at the frantic ones. They do not see clearly. They react to noise, to expectation, to fear. And yet here you are, learning the exquisite art of watching, of observing, of letting the invisible threads weave their tapestry while you simply exist. You are learning that patience is not a void. It is the forge where your resilience, your clarity, your power are shaped. Emotional control is the weapon most people fail to recognize. They are slaves to joy, to anger, to disappointment, to desire. Every twitch of the mind, every impulse, every reaction steals their power. You, however, are learning to stand outside the storm. You feel the winds of change. You notice the tremors of consequence. But you do not act blindly. You do not throw yourself at events like a moth to flame. You understand that to respond with calm precision, with deliberate timing, is more potent than 1,000 frenzied actions. The world cannot shake the one who has learned to master their own internal tide. Imagine a night sky filled with stars. Every point of light burns quietly, without effort, without struggle, and yet their influence stretches across the void. They guide. They illuminate. They exist in silent authority. That is you when you choose stillness. That is you when you resist the temptation to act prematurely. The shift you are in does not need your panic. It does not need your interference. It thrives in the quiet of your patience, in the subtle strength of your restraint, in the intelligence of letting the invisible mechanisms of life arrange themselves while you remain unshaken. There is humility in this process. Not the kind forced by shame or failure, but the humility of understanding your place within the larger currents of cause and effect. You are not omnipotent. You are not required to move mountains alone. You are not tasked with carrying the chaos of the world on your back. True humility is the recognition that some things will unfold without your insistence, that the gears are turning, the pieces are moving, and the results are being prepared, silently, invisibly, perfectly. And your role is to rest, to breathe, to trust the subtle art of timing that you cannot yet see. The contrast between you and the frantic is stark. They exhaust themselves, fighting, pushing, clawing for every shred of recognition, every moment of fleeting progress, every small victory that disappears the moment it is claimed. You, in your quiet strength, are gathering momentum, building unseen foundations, preparing yourself for the moment when the shift manifests. While they collapse under their own desperation, you remain unbroken, untouched, observing, learning, growing, ready. And the irony is delicious. The more they struggle, the further ahead you move without moving at all. So here's the question that should echo in your mind, slow and deliberate. Can you embrace the patience required to let the shift do the work while you rest? Can you resist the urge to prove, to act, to force outcomes before the moment is ripe? Can you understand that the quietest hand, the calmest mind, the one who does nothing at all, often holds the most power? Because when you finally allow it, when you finally surrender your need to push and strain, when you rest in the intelligence of the moment, the shift will surprise you, overwhelm you, and elevate you in ways that frantic effort could never achieve. The world is loud. It shouts, it demands, it twists your mind into knots. But here's the quiet horror for those who rush, who panic, who force themselves into motion. While they exhaust themselves, the shift is already happening. You do not need to push. Do not need to scramble. Do not need to chase. Every frantic movement they make only delays what is coming. Meanwhile, you, the patient observer, the one who knows the subtle rhythm of change, are gathering unseen power. You are accumulating strength silently, invisibly, like a shadow stretching across the city at twilight, unnoticed but inevitable. There is beauty in watching things arrange themselves, in letting events align without interference. People think they must control, must dominate, must intervene. But real mastery is in restraint. True power is in being ready without trying to force the world to bend to your will. You are learning that every moment spent fighting what is already moving in your favor is wasted energy. Instead, you rest, you breathe, you observe, you let the invisible cogs turn, the silent machinery of consequence move, and you allow yourself to rise at precisely the right moment, fully prepared, fully aware, fully untouchable in your calm. Imagine a predator in the jungle. It does not run blindly. It does not throw itself at prey. It waits, watches, calculates. Every muscle is relaxed, every sense alert, every moment precise. And when the moment comes, when the opportunity presents itself, it strikes with lethal precision, effortless, devastating, absolute. That predator is you. The world believes movement equals victory, noise equals power, struggle equals control. But the truth is far more elegant, far more terrifying. The quiet, the patient, the one who waits and observes, is the one who always wins. You've been trained to fear stillness, to panic at empty hours, to believe that inaction is weakness. But in those quiet moments, your mind sharpens, your clarity grows, your emotional control strengthens, your confidence solidifies. While others scatter, you strategize unconsciously. Your intuition expanding, your presence solidifying, your readiness becoming absolute. The shift is doing the work. The currents you cannot see are arranging your life, your opportunities, your victories. And all you had to do was step back, breathe, and allow it. Think of it like a storm over the city. The chaos rages. Lightning strikes, winds howl, people panic. But you stand on the rooftop, calm, steady, untouched by the frenzy. And as the storm passes, it leaves the world altered, transformed, rearranged. Streets washed, air clear, opportunities revealed. That is the reward of patience. That is the payoff of restraint. That is the strength that comes from doing nothing, yet achieving everything. And yes, it will feel strange at first. It will feel like passivity, like missed opportunity. But that feeling is the trap for the impatient. The uncomfortable restlessness is proof that you are stepping outside the ordinary, that you are learning to trust the invisible, the unseen, the inevitable shift. While everyone else fights, struggles, and exhausts themselves, you are building momentum that cannot be disturbed, cannot be measured, cannot be replicated. You are becoming a force, not through action, but through preparation, observation, and perfect timing. Remember, don't rush, don't fight, just rest. Let the shift work. Watch everything fall into place. You are stronger than you think. Comment below. Share your story, and stay ready. The shift is already moving for you. Have you ever wondered just how deep they're watching? Elon Musk. Yeah, the genius, the man who thinks he's untouchable, ran secret simulations of you. And guess what? The results. They literally terrified him. Can you imagine that? Someone like Elon, sweating over your choices, trying to predict your every move and failing? That's insane. Stop scrolling, thinking this is just another video. But trust me, every second you watch, every pause you take, you're stepping into a game most people don't even know exists. This isn't about rockets or money. Nah, this is about you. Your mind, your choices, your untapped power that no billionaire, no algorithm, no simulation can ever control it. So stay with me, watch till the end, because we're not just talking about numbers and tech. So stick around, absorb every word, and remember, this is your reality, your mind, your power, and no one, not even Elon, can simulate it. Some people think the mind can be controlled, that life bends to the rules of others, that their decisions are private, hidden, safe. But the truth, the raw, ugly truth, is far more unsettling. Elon Musk? Yes, that man who builds rockets to escape the sky. He didn't just dream about the future. He ran the future inside a machine. He ran simulations of you. And the results terrified him. Picture this. Somewhere, in the quiet hum of circuits and blinking lights, a version of you sits waiting. Not a physical you, not the one that breathes and bleeds, but a digital reflection, a shadow of your choices, your habits, your impulses, every hesitation, every tiny spark of brilliance, every moment of weakness, all of it laid bare. And while you think you are private, he saw it all. You, stripped of your excuses, examined like a puzzle too dangerous to ignore. Now don't get me wrong, this isn't about technology controlling you, oh no. This is about the mirror you refuse to look into. The mirror that shows what you are capable of when no one is watching, and what you might destroy if left unchecked. Imagine the fear. Imagine the pause. The kind that creeps up your spine when you realize someone can predict you. Not with magic, not with manipulation, but with logic, calculation, cold observation. And yet here's the delicious irony. The machine, the simulation, could not contain you completely because you are unpredictable, chaotic, human in ways no algorithm can fully grasp. Do you feel that chill yet? That slow, creeping awareness that your mind is not safe from scrutiny, not even from the smartest man alive? That is not a weakness. That is a warning, a challenge. The universe doesn't reward the timid. It rewards those who study themselves with the same intensity as others study them. Those who understand the currents inside their own head before anyone else can even approach the shore. Musk might have predicted possibilities. He might have crunched numbers, considered probabilities, ran iterations. But what he could not see, what he could not simulate, was your essence. The decisions made when fear hits, when ego flares, when patience snaps. That moment, that spark, is yours alone. And here is the brutal truth. Most people never confront this version of themselves. Most people never stop to ask, who am I really when no one is watching? What would I do if everything I've ever known were tested against the cold eye of logic? You see, that is where power hides. Not in wealth, not in fame, not in the ability to build rockets or simulate lives, but in the quiet mastery of your own impulses, the self-discipline to pause before reacting, the courage to observe yourself brutally and honestly, the patience to endure boredom, frustration, humiliation, without losing control. Emotional mastery is a skill too few dare to cultivate. And yet, it is the one skill that no simulation can predict. Imagine Musk watching. Imagine the simulation running, and every time it predicted failure, it stumbled. Every time it expected you to break, you held. Every time it calculated despair, you rose. The machine couldn't understand why. The numbers screamed for chaos, but you delivered composure. You delivered a calculated response. And in that moment, the terrifying truth dawns. You are more dangerous to predict than anyone could imagine, because you understand yourself better than anyone else ever will. You think you are small, insignificant, easily categorized and dismissed. But listen carefully. The machine did not just run your life once. No, it ran it thousands of times. Every scenario, every temptation, every failure, every glimmer of success, and in every iteration, the same pattern emerged. You are not ordinary. You are not predictable. Even the sharpest mind, the most advanced algorithm, the brightest calculation, faltered when it confronted the human truth. And that truth is not in how clever you are, not in how fast you learn, not even in how hard you work. The truth is in how you endure, how you sit in the quiet moments of boredom and frustration and choose yourself over and over again, without applause, without recognition, without anyone telling you it is enough. That is the part the simulations could not quantify. That is the part that terrified him. Because intelligence can be measured, systems can be optimized, probabilities can be calculated, but character, willpower, restraint, patience, under pressure, these cannot be reduced to numbers. They cannot be predicted. They exist in the spaces between decisions, in the fractions of a second before action, in the calm that follows chaos. You see, the world is obsessed with outcomes. People measure success in milestones, in net worth, in titles, in followers. But the real power, the silent force that Musk feared seeing in you, lies in the process. In the choices you make when no one is watching, when every expectation is stripped away, when the only witness is yourself. Imagine it, the simulation flashing numbers, probabilities and warnings across screens. Every calculation screams that you will break, that you will falter, that you will follow the path of least resistance. And every time you defy it. Calm, deliberate, unshaken, not because you are superior, not because the world favors you, but because you have learned the art of mastery over yourself. You have learned to see desire, fear, and impulse as instruments, not dictators. You play them. You do not obey them. And that is terrifying. Terrifying because it cannot be contained, it cannot be predicted, it cannot be controlled. Do you feel the weight of that yet? That unsettling pause that creeps into your chest when you realize you are more dangerous than any algorithm could ever hope to understand. That is your power. That is your edge. Every human being fears the unknown, the unpredictable, the uncontrollable. And when you discover that the only person you need to master is yourself, you step into a level of freedom that no simulation can ever replicate. Freedom not of circumstance, but freedom of mind. The calm in the storm, the pause before reaction, the smile in the face of inevitability. That is strength. Quiet, terrifying, invisible strength. Now this is where most people fail. They seek validation from the world. They try to outsmart others, impress the masses, manipulate outcomes, chase results. But the simulation showed something else. It showed that results are temporary, that external recognition is fleeting, that even brilliance can be predicted and contained. The only thing that cannot be contained is your discipline, your patience, your self-respect. That is the essence of power, the only kind that cannot be simulated. So ask yourself, when the world expects you to conform, when the systems expect you to follow, when the calculations scream your defeat, will you obey? Or will you embrace the chaos inside yourself? Will you sit calmly, observing, understanding, controlling, and mastering? Because that is where true victory lies. Not in riches, not in titles, not in influence, but in becoming the person who cannot be predicted, cannot be manipulated, cannot be simulated. And here is the cruel, beautiful irony. The more you master yourself, the more the world fears you, the more they try to calculate you, the more they run simulations, the more they imagine breaking you. But nothing will work. Because the human mind, disciplined, patient, observant, and emotionally controlled, is a force no algorithm, no strategy, no calculation can ever capture. And that is when the real game begins. Discipline is not a reward. It is not applause. It is a cold, unrelenting companion that sits beside you in the quiet moments no one sees. The simulation tried to measure it, tried to predict the limits of your patience, tried to quantify the depth of your restraint. But discipline is not a line on a graph. It is a river that flows beneath the surface of your thoughts, carving canyons in your decisions, shaping who you are in ways no one can calculate. Every moment you choose control over impulse. Every second you resist the lure of instant gratification. You are shaping a force that even the most sophisticated minds cannot predict. And here is the thing. Patience is a weapon. The simulations could not understand patience. They tried. They ran scenarios expecting you to break, expecting failure, expecting chaos. But patience, real patience, is not waiting. It is the deliberate cultivation of calm. The art of observing, of listening, of letting time reveal what the reckless cannot see. It is the smile in the silence, the pause before action, the stillness before the storm. And when you master patience, you step into a space where decisions are no longer forced upon you. They come to you like whispers, subtle, deliberate, inevitable. Do you see it? Do you feel it yet? The power of being untouchable, not because the world bends to you, but because you bend yourself to nothing. The world may predict trends, numbers, patterns. The simulation may run every possibility, but the one thing it cannot account for is you, your choices, your mind, your ability to hold, to wait, to strike only when the moment is yours. That is why the thought of you terrified him. Because you are more than a pattern, more than a probability. You are an anomaly that cannot be framed. Now emotional control. This is the silent king. The simulation may have tried to model anger, fear, desire, pride, impatience, but emotions are rivers that do not obey calculations. They twist, they surge, they hide in shadows. And yet, when you learn to master them, to watch them rise, to let them flow without controlling you, you gain a power no system can ever grasp. A calm that disarms every expectation, a quiet authority that does not need recognition, a presence that turns prediction into a futile exercise. Emotional mastery is a fortress built in silence, defended by observation, maintained by the ruthless honesty of self-awareness. Think about the contrast. The machine, brilliant and cold, flashing lights and numbers, attempting to contain what it could not see. And you, breathing calmly in the eye of every storm, every temptation, every expectation. That is where unpredictability lives. Not in chaos, not in random action, but in the disciplined, patient, emotionally controlled human who has learned to move beyond the obvious. Who knows that true power is quiet, invisible, unstoppable. Not because it roars, but because it waits. and waits until the world is ready, and you strike on your terms. And here is the final edge: humility. Yes, it may seem soft, but it is the secret weapon. Humility keeps the mind sharp. It keeps the ego in check. It prevents the predictable arrogance that the simulations love to exploit. Every great mind, every brilliant algorithm can be blinded by arrogance. They assume mastery, assume control, assume they have seen it all. And then the humble human, aware of limits, aware of impulses, aware of the need for patience, moves like a shadow that no calculation can catch. The machine cannot simulate humility because it cannot feel doubt. It cannot measure restraint, born of self-awareness. That is your domain. That is where the real terror comes for anyone trying to predict you. Independence is a dangerous thing. Most people mistake it for isolation. They think walking alone means freedom. But real independence is suppler, sharper, more terrifying. It is the art of existing in the world without surrendering yourself to its rules, its expectations, its attempts to predict you. The simulation may have tried to account for allies, enemies, friends, family, society, circumstance, every variable imaginable. But the truly independent mind cannot be fully modeled, because independence is not a condition of the outside world. It is an internal ecosystem, a fortress built of awareness, patience, and quiet calculation. Self-respect is the cornerstone of this independence. You cannot be mastered by others if you refuse to surrender your own judgment. The machine may have assumed that fear, desire, or weakness would push you into predictable action, that every pressure point has a lever. But self-respect, real self-respect, breaks that assumption. It forces the world to recognize that you are not a pattern to be exploited. You cannot be persuaded, threatened, or manipulated without your consent. And the moment you internalize this, the world begins to look at you differently. Every glance of scrutiny, every attempt at influence, every prediction becomes meaningless, because your value, your measure, your worth is yours alone to define. Now let us talk about unpredictability. Oh, how it terrifies the careful, the calculating, the obsessed. The simulation may have churned possibilities, outcomes, scenarios, every path your life could take. And yet, no matter how many times it ran, it could not fully anticipate your choice. You, in your quiet, deliberate way, choose actions not because they are expected, not because they fit a formula, but because they are right for you. That is chaos dressed as calm. That is power hidden in plain sight. That is the thing no algorithm, no genius, no strategy can ever hold. Do you feel that pulse yet? That slight, creeping realization that control is an illusion when faced with a mind that has learned patience, discipline, and self-respect? That fear is simply a tool, and desire is a lens, and neither dictate the course of action unless you allow it? That is the core of strategic independence. To move deliberately while the world expects panic, to hold composure while others stumble, to strike only when the moment is yours to choose. That is how unpredictability becomes a weapon, and that weapon is yours alone. Consider the contrast. Elon Musk, brilliant, relentless, controlling probabilities with logic and systems, staring at the results of his simulations, blinking at a screen, calculating every possibility, and still failing to contain you. Still unable to predict the split-second decisions that define your reality. That is the power of a disciplined, self-respecting, patient mind. The kind that smiles quietly while the world screams in expectation. The kind that understands influence comes not from brute force, not from noise, not from speed, but from the quiet, undeniable weight of controlled, deliberate action. This is where self-respect and unpredictability merge. When you respect yourself enough to reject manipulation, when you wait, observe, analyze, and act on your own terms, you wield influence like a silent storm. People will try to bend you, pressure you, predict you, control you, and you will not flinch. You will not rush. You will not conform. They will wonder at your calm. They will fear your restraint. They will try to predict the unpredictable and fail. That failure, that helplessness in the minds of the calculated, the smart, the powerful, is intoxicating. That is the reward for independence. That is the power that terrifies the world. And now, think. Every choice you make in quiet control, every refusal to act in haste, every careful observation before moving, every emotion measured, every desire tamed, compounds. You build a presence the world cannot simulate. You cultivate a force that no machine can predict. You become the anomaly, the enigma, the variable no one can fully measure. And in that anomaly lies your freedom, your power, your victory. So now you know the truth Elon Musk couldn't predict. The simulations, the probabilities, they failed. And why? Because you are not a number. You are not a pattern. You are unpredictable, disciplined, patient, and untouchable in ways no machine can ever see. Remember this: every choice you make, every moment you hold yourself together, every pause before you react, is building a force the world cannot control. That power, it's yours. Own it, embrace it, live it. And here's your move. Drop a comment below. Tell me what shocked you the most. Show the world you've seen behind the curtain. You understand what they cannot simulate. So walk out of this video knowing one thing: the only limits that exist are the ones you accept. And you're already terrifying.